So, if you clicked on this video, then it's probably because there's a part of you that wants to change your life. If you're not ready to take action yet, that's okay. Because every change, every creation first starts with a thought, and then it gains enough momentum to propel you into that action. Here is my background. I moved out in 2020 during the pandemic. I was depressed, deeply insecure, messy, and overall just not satisfied with my life or who I was becoming.
Hello, my name is Melissa and I want to transform my life. I am currently sitting in my very empty, very messy apartment. I am at a weird point in my life. I am not fully satisfied with the life I am living, and there is some things that I just wish were different.
Fast forward to me now, 2022, and I've grown since then. But I am still not the person that I want to or know I can be. And I'm simply tired of myself, or better said, tired of the stories that I create and tell that keep me in the same negative place. There is a version of myself that I know exists and that is calling me toward greater expansion. So I'm reflecting on how we bridge that gap between who we want to become and who we are now. Essentially, who we are is a habit of thinking, feeling, and behaving. You wake up every day and for the most part follow the same routines, think the same thoughts, and therefore feel the same emotions. And most often than not, we identify with these thoughts and believe them to be fully true and who we are. And therefore, we don't make an effort to challenge them or change them. Simply put, our ego hates change. Even if it's change that would be positive for us, that would give us a better quality of life. Our ego loves predictability and labels and defining itself. And it will continue to find ways to reinforce the stories that we tell about ourselves to keep us in a place of comfort. These stories therefore become a self-fulfilling prophecy, completely forgetting the power that we have and the control that we have over our thoughts and the person that we become. We don't give ourselves enough credit. As Joe Dispenza says, if your personal reality is creating your personality, you are a victim. But if your personality is creating your personal reality, you are a creator. So to create lasting change, we must not only change our behaviors, we must change our identity, who we identify as people. After all, to change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of the memorized self. So how do we do this? First step is identifying your why. Begin with asking yourself a first level question. Why do I want to change my life? In my case, the answer is because I'm not happy with where I'm at. Why am I not happy with where I'm at? Because I don't feel like my happiest, healthiest self. Why don't I feel like my happiest, healthiest self? Because I'm on autopilot. I have habits that I'm not proud of, and I don't do things that are good for me or would make me feel good. Why don't I have habits or do things that make me feel good? Because on some level, I have become comfortable and maybe don't believe that I deserve to feel good. And I want to believe that I'm worth it because I know that there is more to feel and to experience. The next step is to become clear about who you want to be. A good way to do this is through visualization. So close your eyes. Close them. Okay. Ask yourself, what does the best version of myself look like? When they wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that they do? When they look in the mirror, how do they appear? How do they spend their time? What kind of clothes do they put on? How do they carry themselves? Are they wearing accessories? What do they eat for breakfast? What does their morning routine look like? And most importantly, how do they feel? Sit with this image for a moment. Let it feel real. The brain can't tell the difference between what is happening externally and internally. Let yourself bask in that feeling of living as that person. You're gonna wanna have a list of those qualities of the person that you wanna be, of your dream self, your highest self. Okay, so here's my own example, okay? In my case, my why for changing my life is that I feel a call to greater joy. So then I ask myself, who is the person I wanna be? So I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna visualize her. When I see the ideal version of myself, I see her waking up early in the mornings. She makes time for a healthy routine and movement. She meditates, does yoga or stretches. She then has enough time to eat a healthy breakfast that energizes her. She feels excited about the day and excited about life. She puts on some minimal clothing that's sustainable and is wearing jewelry that makes her feel beautiful and put together. She's radiating, she's glowing from within. She feels joy, satisfied and fulfilled and grateful for her life. She feels healed and light. And most importantly, she feels like she's connecting with herself. She feels aligned and in tune with what she knows is meant for her and what she knows life is supposed to feel like. So when I visualize all those things, I can really feel it. It feels so real to me. I can see her so clearly. I can almost touch her. I can smell her. I can just put more details and light to the person that I want to be, and it just for a few moments feels like I am that person. The key is that you have to feel as that person would feel, and you gain some clarity on what are the actionable things that that person does that are different from what you may do now, and how different does that person feel to how you may feel now. Then the next step is awareness and accountability. You need to be able to look at yourself. Become aware of what thoughts you currently think. Then what feelings stem from those thoughts? What actions do those feelings and thoughts lead you to? What are the stories that you tell about yourself? Brené Brown calls these shitty rough drafts. Shitty rough drafts are the stories that you tell about yourself that you believe to be true but are negative or have come from years of conditioning. Think about, how would you describe yourself? How do you already wake up? How do you dress? What kind of attitude do you have? How do you feel? What are your routines? And make a list of those qualities as well. So you have your list of your dream self qualities, and now you have a list of how you view yourself to be right now. Essentially what we're trying to do is to bridge that gap between who you want to be and who you are now. Just so they become one. So the final step, I hate to say this phrase because I know that a lot of people say it, but it's true. And when I started to think of it this way, it started to shift my mindset a little bit, and that is to be as if, to be as that person that you want to be. Every time you act in a way that you're used to acting, like every time you have a routine that you normally do that maybe isn't the healthiest or isn't making you feel good, then you can ask yourself, am I feeding into that ideal version of myself? Is this something that ideal version of myself would do? Or is this something that the past/present version of myself does? And you have to do that with every day. You have to keep visualizing that person that you want to be and feel as that person, and therefore act as that person. And the more that I visualize that ideal version of myself, the more that I want to continue to feel that. The more that I feel how good that feels to get lost in that image, the more that I seek those feelings day to day and begin to ask myself, is this something that that person would do? And once again, that triangle of our personality comes from thinking, feeling, and behaving. And you might struggle, you might have already tried to implement changes that will last by changing your behavior, but it will not be sustainable and lasting until you also change your thoughts and your feelings. Begin to feel more like that version of yourself that you're working on becoming. So it might feel a little bit unnatural, it might feel uncomfortable, and everyone talks about habits and building habits, but until you identify as that person that you want to be and stop identifying with the traits and qualities that you carry now, that is when you're going to start being motivated to make that change. And that is when the action is going to become more natural and feel more aligned than forcing something that doesn't feel like yourself. The way that you give your ego that ease and that permission to release that old identity that's negative that you're identifying with currently is to begin practicing the new identity, so that your ego, yourself, becomes comfortable with it and allows you to reach it. So my final thoughts. The future version of yourself that I keep referring to can truly only originate from the present. To become that version of yourself that you want to be, you have to stop looking at it as a future self. I know that's contradictory to what I've been saying, but once you release that thought of it being so far away and you begin to find ways to bring that self into the now and bring that self into what you're living and feeling now, you will always feel like it's out of reach, like it's some distant, faraway land that you'll never get to, because everything is only experienced in the present moment. And this also means that the past and the stories that we've been carrying from the past need to be let go of too. And to know that to become that self and tap into that highest self and the highest emotion, greatest joy, you have to be here now. Embody it now. What can I do now? How can I feel now? How can I feel better? How can I feel happier? What can I implement now? Not future, not what am I still carrying? And what I have personally realized from this excruciating process of releasing an old identity and creating a new one is that you will be faced with your limiting beliefs. When trying to embody a new identity, I've been faced with thoughts like, I'm not good enough for this, I'm starting way too late, I'm not confident enough, it's too much work to heal everything, I'm carrying way too much, I'm not capable of this, I'm not deserving of this, I don't know how to be happy, I don't know how to be that best version of myself. Just tons of negative limiting beliefs that if you believe them, if you actually believe that they're true, will keep you from making progress. So, in conclusion, becoming a new version of yourself requires shifting your identity, not just your actions, shifting your thoughts and feelings along with your behaviors. It also requires clarity on who you want to be and self-awareness and accountability on the actions and the behaviors and the identity that you currently identify with. And then finally, it just requires you to embody that best version of yourself beginning now, beginning in the present moment, and recognizing that you're gonna have some limiting beliefs along the way. But it's all okay because it's a journey. But just believe that you're worth it. Believe that there is great joy and purpose out there for you. You will get there, and you are perfectly perfect where you are now. So, deep breath with me. Bye. Okay, hello. My name is Melissa. I just turned 24 years old a few days ago. I'm in my empty apartment because I'm moving out. Today's my last day. Everything's cleared out and cleaned out. I'm moving to a new city. I've never lived away from home. This was my first ever apartment on my own, and I've changed a lot since I first moved in here. I'm really proud of the progress that I've made, and I know that being in a new city is going to challenge me to grow even more. So I'm excited to see the person that I become